Eddie Berg of Imminence joins me, Ned, on the Underground. This is a big one. Eddie heading our way for the Good Things Festival later on this year. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for having me. It's
Um,
we're so excited to finally come to Australia.
we're excited to have you here. And I was thinking, Eddie, like there must be something in the water in Sweden or something. So many great bands coming from your side of the world. What do you think this is?
It's probably seasonal depression, to be honest. We have such a long winter time over here. I mean, obviously Sweden is so long, so it's very different depending on where you live. We are as far south as you can go, and our winters looks like maybe just gray, wet, muddy for about 5 months a year,
Yeah, not much fun
and
at all.
very little sun. It can go like because it's always overcast. It's always cloudy. So sometimes you can go a whole month without seeing the sun.
Oh wow, man! It makes me think I've got nothing to complain about here. But your sort of music, Eddie, it hits different. Like metalcore, it's sort of entwined there with you on the violin. When you were growing up, did were you always thinking you were going to go down this path, or it makes me sort of think your parents probably had a different plan for you?
It wasn't. We're not like I'm not from a musical family. And
Really?
my parents were never no my parents were never like pushing me onto anything, but when I was 5 they were holding like an open house at the local music school, and I was just interested to check it out, and went to a few like different classrooms there to see like the instruments, and I was actually quite too young to like play most of the instruments. They had these rules like you need to be a certain age before you could start play something. So I was interested in the guitar, but I was a couple of years too young. But they let me play violin, and I thought it looked interesting. So the thing that my parents did, what I think was really good, was that they never let me just quit on a whim, because
Yeah.
I did enjoy to play, but as you're growing up and you're changing, sometimes you just feel like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But my parents were kind of like always, well, take the rest of the year and we can talk about it after a year, see how you feel. Just like you shouldn't just go and quit. So I kind of stuck with it. And at first, I was planning to pursue like studies and maybe a career in classical music. But sometime during my teenage years, I started to get in more and more to rock and metal music. And a couple of friends and we started playing covers, and one thing led to another, and we wound it up forming Imminence. And then I had to take a decision, because when we were getting out of school, it would be either trying to pursue this classical career or to go with the band. I didn't see how those two could fit together. It would take too much of my time to do one or the other. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I chose to go down with the Imminence, obviously.
Definitely glad that you went that way. It makes for a unique sound there, Eddie. And I was going to say, man, I love your one take playthrough on Death by a Thousand Cuts. Is that your dog sitting there in the window during the video?
Yeah, yeah.
That's got to be a very well
I mean,
behaved pet. Man.
yeah. I mean, I have four dogs here, but he's like the one that is always with me here in my home studio, and he's always used to like me recording myself, like screaming and playing violin or anything, and me playing loud music on the speakers. So he's very used to it.
Yeah, that's great. I was just watching it for the first time the other day. I'm like, that's a very well behaved pet there. Must be very much used to it. So, of course, your first time coming to Australia a little bit later on in the year, you guys must be stoked. What are your sort of expectations of out here, Eddie? Very different to those winters that you're talking about in Sweden when you're here.
Yeah, that's going to be a nice break for us, since we'll be in the middle of that winter depression. but I feel like we have so much going on anyway, like with the European tour in October, and we're just gonna be home for a month before heading out to Australia. So um, I'm super excited. I don't really know what to expect, but I think it's gonna be great. You know, we've been wanting to go there for a long time, and we know that we have fans that has followed us for a long time over there. So I'm sure it's gonna be fantastic.
Oh, most definitely. And looking into you further, Eddie, I see that you're a big time film critic sort of guy. You love films. What's your sort of favorite film?
It's always a loaded question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I find myself coming back to The Departed a lot. I just love that film.
Oh, that is a good one, and makes me think too. Like your videos are very sort of dark and tell stories and that sort of thing. How much do you have involvement wise in the video side of things, Eddie?
Um, so when we started our band, we were very much like DIY, and the first music video we ever did was with a guy we knew from another band, and he had this cheap Canon DSLR camera, maybe for $400. He
Yeah.
shot the music video on that, and I just looked at it and thought like that doesn't seem that complicated, you know. So I bought myself, I think it was even the same camera, and we started doing, or I started doing our videos, um, and got into editing, got into like equipment and got nerdy in that.
Yeah.
But it came to a point where I felt like I couldn't be fully focused on, being the front man and at the same time being the director and the DOP. So I wanted to kind of let someone else do that, and I found Pavel um, with some videos he's done for some other bands, and I thought this guy was incredible. I'm very nitpicky when it comes to editing, especially, and I just saw that this guy is a really good editor as well, and we tried out with him. Our first video we recorded with him was Paralyzed,
Oh,
and we loved it so much that we continued to work with him and have been doing that ever since. And it's usually like me, him, and Harold were like spinning ideas and about the story, about the concept, about everything, how it should look.
oh, they're definitely, for people checking this out, you need to check out Eminence videos. They are very, very masterful type deal. Outside of music and movies and that kind of thing, Eddie, what's downtime for you?
Downtime is hanging out with my dogs or with friends or my wife. Just trying to relax and not do too much.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I was also reading that Bear Mountain Park is a side group of yours. What's the status of those guys at the moment?
That was a product of the pandemic because we found ourselves,
Ah,
it's not. We had a lot more time on our hands than we usually do with not playing any shows, and a friend of mine and we started this project. I had this idea for a while that I wanted to do that style of music as well. And yeah, we started out writing songs, and that is a completely DIY project. We record, mix, master ourselves, do the videos ourselves, we do everything ourselves basically. And it's been a while since we released something, but that's because we felt like it was taking so much time, to do everything around one song and then releasing it. So it would be a long time in between songs. So we kind of said that we're focusing on like writing the songs that we want to put out first and then releasing it a little bit more together. But yeah, that it has been a little bit on the side now, with this year being so busy for Imminence. And actually my friend Frederick, who I have this project with, he's actually coming with us on tour in October through Europe, and
nice.
and is gonna play with us on stage. So he's also busy with Imminence at the moment.
Yeah, okay, that's very, very cool there. All right, man, your latest album, The Black, straight up masterpiece for sure. When do you think you guys will
Thank
be
you.
looking at it? It definitely is front to back, one of those ones, no skippable tracks. I suppose it's got a lot of legs on it yet, but when will you guys be back in the studio looking at, following up that one?
We've actually already started.
Wow.
We started as soon as we came back from the US in May. We've been writing new music, and we already have a few songs down. And yeah, we're in a really good spot right now creatively. So we're just gonna let that keep going.
Oh, nice. Well, cannot wait to hear more of it. Before I let you go, I want to grab a recommendation from you, Eddie. It can be a cool movie that you've checked out lately, a band or something like that. What does Eddie from Imminence recommend?
Good question. Movie-wise, one of my favorites I've seen lately is, or I think it was last year, but The Banshees of Inisherin. I love that film. Can really recommend.
Yeah.
Otherwise, been enjoying the new Bill Murray album a lot. Yeah, on the top of my head.
No, that's very good, man. Caught you a little off guard on that one. We'll be sure to hit these guys up. ImminenceSWE.com. All of their socials are on there. Berg Eddie, at Berg Eddie on Instagram. And check them out live. Good Things Festival. It's going to be amazing. December 6th in Melbourne at Flemington Racecourse. The 7th at Centennial Park in Sydney. And wrapping things up on the 8th at Brisbane, the Showgrounds there. Thanks again, Eddie, for joining me. Really appreciate it.